Good morning, guys. I'm not sure about how it is where you are, but it is just a tad cold in Peculiar Priesthood Studios this morning. Um, Hopefully, and we're firmly believing that spring is on the way. We wanted to put together a little. It's been a while since we got to catch up with you since we stopped doing the show, the actual TV show, and it's been a busy year for us thus far. So we wanted to take a moment and kind of share a little bit again about the goodness of God. We want to take a moment and let you know what we're looking forward to doing. We believe the Lord's plan for us this year, and our big surprise for this episode is I was actually able over the past few weeks to kind of develop a little bit of an acquaintanceship, or maybe I'm not sure if that's the right word, with former WWF and WCW champion Sid. Some of you may know Psycho Sid, Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, whatever, but he's a really awesome guy. He's very genuine. We hope to get to work with his church and some of the charities that he is a part of with this year to come. We're going to explain some more about that to you guys here in a little bit, how you can help out with that, along with another trip that we are being guided by the Lord to go to Florida and help out down there again. And even in addition to that, we're going to actually be kind of learning and getting prepped and getting prepared to bring a program back here to Wyoming County, West Virginia, to help out with mothers who are struggling to get back in the role of being a mother, and who suffer from pretty much what I believe all of us do in one form or another, identity crisis, to help mothers get back in this, to see that they are first and foremost daughters of the Most High King, and that they are mothers, and in a lot of situations they're wives and they're daughters, and just help them get back on path that way. And we're going to let you guys know how you can help out with all those things, with all those amazing ministries. But with no further ado, we are happy to welcome you to spring. Hopefully the next day or so. But here's our spring introduction for you guys. God bless, and we hope you enjoy. But it was just that party atmosphere, that music atmosphere, and that was just kind of a way to pass time on the weekends and stuff. And
that habit eventually caused us to become homeless. And, I had my father and my stepmother to take care of our children until we can get back on our feet. I was introduced to drugs when I was about 11 years old. It was a Nerf pill. Valium, actually, was the first thing that was given to me by my mother. She had some issues growing up. She watched her father, who was an alcoholic, all of her life, and he also introduced her to drugs, and it just kind of, something that she kept going with. And she gave me, like I said, it was a Valium when I was 11, and that kind of began, a bit of an issue. But they found out I had scoliosis in my back, and I had a shelf fall on me, so that created a bit more of a back issue. And by the time I was 16, they had me on 2 different kinds of pain pills and a muscle relaxer. And that was about a sophomore in high school. By the time I was a senior, I was taking about 8 pain pills just to go to school so I wasn't sick, and not including what I had to keep taking throughout the day so I didn't, get sick. And that also led to, some other issues like depression, anxiety as well. And I wasn't aware that it was I was addicted at the time. So, my mom, being concerned, she had me going to a psychiatrist, and I saw a counselor as well and talked to them. And of course, they put me on depression medication, and I was on anti-anxiety medication as well. And all that did was, continue to add fuel to the addiction fire. And by the time I was 19, I was beginning to try to get rid of clothes, DVDs, CDs, that kind of stuff, trading it for pills and stuff, so I could keep up, with my habit throughout the day, because I did not want to get sick. And then I met my husband, Robert.
I was raised by Christian parents. My parents never really, they took a little bit of medicine here and there, I'm sure, the stuff they needed, blood pressure, whatever, but I always was raised in a really strong house of God sustains us physically. He sustains our health and our well-being. And when my dad passed away when I was 17, that kind of that kind of threw everything off for me. You know, the God that I'd heard about being so good, you know, he couldn't be there to sustain my dad. You know, of course, I know that's not the case now, but started out smoking pot, drinking beer a little bit here and there, drinking liquor, moonshine here and there, and then, you know, next got into the music scene, got some friends and a little notoriety as the guy that did that, and before you knew it, you know, the pills become pretty readily available, and little stuff at first, but it was mostly just a party thing. You know, it was just a complete, you know, whatever, chill out and have some people around, listen to some music. Hopefully somebody doesn't get red and want to fight. And, you know, at the time I never really got too messed up. But it was just that party atmosphere, that music atmosphere, and, you know, that was just kind of a way to pass time on the weekends and stuff, and, you know, kind of deal with you know, my dad being dead, my mom getting remarried, and that whole thing. So, yeah, just kind of to numb the pain, I guess, and more than anything, just distract myself.
So I met Robert when I was 19, and we got married within about 4 months, and ended up finding out that, you know, he had an addiction problem as well, and, you know, my mom was still battling her addiction issue, and we get married July 7th of 2007, and October 20th of 2007, my mother passed away from an overdose. They found, I believe the autopsy report said there was 13 different substances in her system at the time, and you know, that was absolutely devastating, because it didn't happen at our house. She went to stay with a friend, and we got a phone call, you know, on a Saturday morning that, you know, Karen's not feeling too well, so we called an ambulance for her, and, you know, that led us to believe, all right, get to take her home today, maybe tomorrow, to the most. We get to the hospital, and we find out that she'd actually passed in the ambulance. They were able to get her back. When they got her to the hospital, they tried for, I think, 30 more minutes and could not get her back again. And that kind of pushed my drug issue a lot further down, because now I'm trying to numb the pain of not only losing my mother, but, you know, my best friend. And you know, all the while, you know, the party scene is just fun, you know, because you're still young, you know, you're taking drugs, you know, you find other friends that are drinking, and, you know, they're into it as well, so you're just having a good time until we start having children. And you know, we're still keeping up with the habit, but that habit eventually caused us to become homeless. And you know, I had my father and my stepmother to take care of our children until we can get back on our feet, and we ended up being homeless for right at, I believe, 4.5, 5 years. We were on the streets of Oceana and Beckley, just going back and forth from, you know, friend's house to friend's house, hoping somebody would just let us sleep on a couch, or just sleep on their floor, or just even on their porch. We eventually ended up living in on the women's side bathroom in the Oceana Public Park. We lived there for 2 weeks, and we, you know, hit our clothes because we couldn't carry them with us. We walked the streets. Finally, we were able to get to a homeless shelter in Beckley, and we were, you know, kind of off the streets for a bit, but we ended up going to another homeless shelter after that. That was actually a front for another drug house, so that was absolutely no help. Thank God that we had some friends there who took us in for quite a while, but sadly, my addiction continued to spiral. Our addiction, but mine got us kicked out of that house, actually. We ended up going back to the homeless shelter, and, you know, things just continued to spiral out of control.
This is the infamous bathroom that we stayed in for about, what, 2 weeks?
This was our home. We had our bag of clothes that we kind of would tear out a little bit, to kind of make, you know, some bedding there, and we would just lay as close as possible all throughout the night, just with one blanket, a pretty thin blanket over top of us, just trying to keep warm, and we would turn all throughout the night, and we'd use our clothes as pillows as well, and then in the morning we would pack everything back up.
Was that little table thing there then?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, so this was the space that we managed to fit in.
We're extremely skinny then.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, there's even a picture of us drinking
There is.
Guinness.
Yep.
Right in here. And over here we had the facilities. I understand it's probably kind of rough to...
Well, right up there is the extension thing, and it came down a lot farther. It dangled down, actually, when we were staying in it, and that's how I was able to... Didn't have service on my phone, but that's how I was able to charge my cell phone so we could go to, like, McDonald's or something during the day and, you know, be able to communicate with people, see if we might be able to stay with somebody, or somebody might maybe buy some meal or something throughout the day, or even something to drink. So, and this was our life every day for, it was 2 weeks, wasn't it? Yeah.
Before we went to the homeless shelter and then eventually the drug house that we lived in Beckley.
And the only way we could even get to the homeless shelter is I had to call an ambulance.
Yeah.
And we had to get taken over that way, and then when we were able to get somebody to pick us up from that shelter at the hospital. So
This was home. And for the harshest part of the winter in 2014.
yep. Because I also remember during the day, when we would have to go out to keep us from having to carry our stuff, the amphitheater right there, we would kind of hide our stuff either behind it or like try to kind of put it underneath one of the benches there. So nobody would mess with it. We would have to carry it around through town. We did a lot of walking. It was pretty heavy.
This is what God can do. All 5 kids and my mom are in the truck right there. So in 2016, we had a really bad falling out. I went into a mental health facility for a little while. Came out, and the only place I could think of to go at that point was, my family was split up. I couldn't really go to anybody else in my family that I hadn't already burned bridges with or whatnot. So I remember my friend's sister, who had been delivered from the same snare that I'd found myself in, and she actually had a sober living home in McDowell County, and I asked if I could come stay for a couple nights, and ended up staying for quite some time. One night after getting the guys to pray for me and really strongly feeling the presence of the Lord, I think that's actually the first night there, I went into the bathroom and put on some Johnny Cash gospel because I didn't have the wide array of worship music to pull from that I do now. And I told God, this is it. Whether I get my family back or not, I've experienced you now in a very real way. I shouldn't even have a place to go. I should be dead. And whatever you want me to do from here, whether I get anything back or not, you got me. And going on 4 years later now, 2 extra babies in the mix, all 5 restored and taking care of my mom on a full-time basis. We've bought a home. We get to travel, and this summer we're going to be doing some outreaches down south again. We're also going to be looking forward to starting a really awesome program to help mommies and hopefully come up with some stuff for the daddies too, who struggle with addiction and these same kind of things, to get back into the husband and wife side of things, and get back into the mommy and daddy side of things, and give you guys the opportunity, as always, if you want to support those mission trips down there or anything that God's doing with this ministry. It's definitely good ground to sow into. We thank you guys for everything you've done, your prayers and everything so far. And 2019 is just, as every year's been, it's just been from glory to glory, but I don't think we've seen anything close to what God plans to do with this ministry and with all willing vessels worldwide. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of our story here, and I hope it gives you some hope. Share it with somebody that needs to know that it is possible, that we, I could say the recovery thing and say we do recover, but I also say that Jesus still delivers, and we wouldn't be here today without that. So
Amen.
We love you guys, and I'm sure we'll see you somewhere soon. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the testimonial portion of this. Like I said, we just wanted to kind of throw together something to let you know that everything's being made new this spring. We're getting back on the road. We're getting back to what the Lord's called us to do. Um, if you know anybody you can share this with that maybe you're in a similar situation, feel free to. Like I said, I've said in the past, if there's somebody in your family or something that you'd like us to talk to, we'd be more than happy to do that. Just get them in contact with us. Up next, something a little special for you. I've been able to make a really cool contact over the last few weeks, and that is former WWF champion, WCW champion, WrestleMania headliner, Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, whatever you want to call him. Super cool guy. Does really has a heart for people and seeing people taken care of. And I got to sit down and talk to him a little bit. We're going to be working with him. We're going to be sharing some information throughout this program, and at the end, there's some info for what we're going to be doing coming up this spring and this summer. And if you want to be a part of that, to volunteer, to donate, whatever it is you feel like the Lord would want you to do, we're going to give you the opportunity to do that. So, with no further ado, here's Sid. So, good evening, and we thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you who've kept up with us in the past, especially earlier, late last year when we did our Florida trip, and earlier this year, you know that we've been kind of pulled towards artists and performers, and we think that God's going to do something awesome through some of the people in those venues. And through prayer and time with the Lord, I kind of had the Lord pull me in a direction of a business that most people probably wouldn't associate with the ministry. But in doing so, he kind of led me to reach out to somebody who I really looked up to as a kid, and somehow got the nerve to do that. And with WrestleMania actually coming up this Sunday, I have a man who's headlined two of those events, two-time WWF champion, two-time WCW champion, if I'm not mistaken, USWA champion at one point. My favorite big man in the business. I was really blessed that when I was growing up watching wrestling, this guy, I pretty much got to catch the majority of his run. And ladies and gentlemen, he is the master and the ruler of the world. He is the man. I am absolutely blessed and tickled pink to be speaking with, Sid. How are you doing, Sid?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much.
Sid, it is WrestleMania weekend. You've got to headline two of those, WrestleMania 8 and WrestleMania 13, I think it was, with Taker. What's it like? What's it like being a part of the granddaddy of them all?
Well, to me, honestly, and I've told people this story, the first WrestleMania, I didn't really remember it being anything but other than just another night, to be honest with you. Once a year after that or two, someone asked me about being WrestleMania. I said, I really had a question. They go, you're using WrestleMania with Hogan, and I forgot about that. I went, yeah, that's right. So that's the thing is really it's really just another night. It's just to show that they know it's going to be there every year, just like all the other pay-per-views. So really just another night.
So, like I was saying earlier there, you were my favorite big guy growing up. I know I know a little of your story. I've heard you talk about in other interviews how you got into business with the Poffos and all that. But who's your favorite big man? Who's your favorite big man in the business?
I'd have to say probably Bam Bam Bigelow.
Awesome. You don't get to. That's when I've been introducing my kids to the era that I watched, and not to mention, I think I remember somewhere that like before he passed, he pulled some kids out of a burning building or something. Have you heard that story?
Yes, I have.
I miss those days. These days, I don't watch it a whole lot now. I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, I think not even to get into politics or anything like that, but I almost feel like the like finishers don't mean anything anymore. Belts don't mean anything anymore. But I have to say, man, you were a part of what I think was probably the quintessential and the most defining moment in the business. So I heard you talk a little bit about something in one interview, and you didn't get to go into it in great detail. When I really, I guess I'd been a kind of a face mark for the majority of my life growing up as a kid. And then around 96, I kind of started getting into some of the other characters and starting to understand, like getting into the psychology of the business. And is Survivor Series 96, when you got the belt, you weren't originally supposed to get that belt. Am I right about that?
No, you're right. It was supposed to be Invader.
And didn't something happen? There was a house show, I think it was, and you and Vader actually wrestled, and you got over more than Vader?
They just made their mind that, probably that, it looked like I was a little bit hotter going into that point there. It just put me into the match.
That's awesome. That was an awesome time for the business, and then the WrestleMania the following year was awesome too. My friend Chris, we grew up big time fans, and he was wondering on a professional level, on a worker level, like when you were going to get in the ring and you would see that you were going up against somebody that night. Who do you think are the top 3 guys that you worked with?
Top 3?
Top 3.
I don't know, man. There's probably 10 people that I could say that could be in the top 3. That's a little hard to answer.
I hear you. Who are some ones that just come to mind? Just some names off the top of your head.
Again, you got, if you ask that question, well, what's one name off the top of your head? There's like 20 or 30 guys I could say that would fit that answer.
Well, a couple of guys we talked about, Bam Bam.
Well, Bam Bam already said, but you could say Shawn Michaels, and you could say, God, Scott Hall was fun to work with. There was a bunch of guys, Again, there's 20. When I start thinking about it, there's 20 guys I could say that were fun to work with.
Well, what's in the future for Sid?
Well, I think 5 or 6. I don't know how many guys were. There's a big autograph signing in Liverpool. I think around the 22nd to the 25th of April. Very cool, very cool. And also, I'm going to share some of the link that you were telling me about the other day. You've gotten to be one of the reasons, the main reason I reached out to you is because I heard you talking about some of the stuff that you do to try to help folks out that are kind of in a bad situation. My hat's off to you for that, and for not being the kind of guy to try to go after any of the gore and stuff. I just wanted to take a moment, sit down, and talk to you, guys. If we're going to try to give you the information, we're going to be going down, hopefully passing through Sid's Way here in July. There's some things that we're going to look to try to gather up on the way down there. Sid, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes and talking to me this evening. God bless you, and we'll hope to talk to you soon and get some stuff in order so we can come down and help out you guys. And God bless you, and I hope you have a great evening. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Oh, man, you be good.
We hope you enjoyed the video so far. If you're interested in helping out with some of the charities that Sid's involved with, we're going to post a link. There's a Haiti mission that's absolutely awesome to help out kids that are born with disabilities, those sorts of things. In addition to that, we're also going to be gathering up multivitamins and children's underwear for some of the missions that Sid's involved with. Also, in addition to that, when we head down there in July to take all that stuff, and we're believing the Lord's going to send a bunch of stuff with us, we're also going to be taking diapers, any sizes, for the Mommy and Me program in July. We'll be telling you more about that as it gets closer to time. You can always donate financially to help with the costs of transportation and housing while we're down there, and anything else that you feel like the Lord wants you to do. And until we see you next time, say we love you.
We love you.
God bless you guys. Till next time. Love you. Jesus loves you too.